Benjamin Franklin is reported to have said two things in life are certain: death and taxes. I'm sure you've heard that before. It may be more accurate to say that three things in life are certain: death, taxes, and human stupidity. I would add as the third. Human stupidity and the consequences of it, sadly, are part and parcel of everyday life. The dream of living a life free of the consequences of our mistakes and the consequences of the mistakes of others, well, it is just that, it's a dream. So the question one might ask is, why is life so full of tribulations? That's a good old-fashioned biblical word. Why is life full of tribulations? How are we supposed to handle these troubles and these trials that come along? Or more importantly, how, when we get things wrong, might we put them right again? You see, understanding the difficult times in life that we face is important. And it is really important because if we don't live a life where we cope with those hard times and those struggles when they come along, that can rob us of our peace. And also, it can actually lead us away from truly living and walking a life in the Spirit. That's why it's vital. Now, three passages that we're going to look at today in the New Testament directly address these issues of trials and tribulations. Interestingly, one of those passages is by James, who I know we're familiar with in this church, one by Peter, and one by Paul. I know it's the point of it going in. Okay, if it carries on, we'll switch, but I'll bear that in mind. I'll just reiterate what I was saying. One is by James, one by Peter, and one by Paul. So let's take a look at those three passages of scripture together. The first one was from James. Henry? Which says this: "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work in you, so that you may be mature and complete, and not lacking anything." Now, note when you look at that passage and it talks about trials and difficulties, James says, notice he says when they happen, not if they happen. And he also says the phrase trials of many kinds. The word used actually means different shades, different colours, hues. So what that's telling us is that at times in life we will face situations, some of them may just be light grey, difficulties and irritation and disappointment. But others can be very dark indeed. It can even mean, for some people, they have to deal with very severe illness, or perhaps, for all of us at some point, death. So this passage is applying to all types of difficulties we might face, from the little annoyances, through in the everyday, through to hugely important experiences of suffering. We spent several weeks, as you know, several months working through the book of James just over a year ago. And we find that it's familiar ground in a sense, but we find that it offered help and advice in all areas of life. Even very practical things like dealing with financial pressure, or handling injustice and unfairness, or even oppression, disputes with neighbours, disputes with believers, disputes with those who don't believe. Even how to deal with prejudice, gossip, favouritism, right through to illness and death. And where it comes to all trials and difficulties, he tells us to consider it pure joy. That's a hard verse to hear, isn't it? Whatever does that mean? Well, let me rest assured, it sure doesn't mean that you're going to have fun when you face these trials. That's not what's been got out here again. But what he is saying is, make up your mind to consider this trial as something that you should approach with some level of expectation. Something which presents itself and presents itself, even though it's difficult, as an opportunity for your spiritual growth. It may be even a sign of God's favour or your obedience to Him that you've been pushed in and through this difficult situation. Now, the Greek word used here, which comes out as the testing of your faith, this phrase, testing of your faith, the thing that produces perseverance, that is a word that actually means approved. Now, the engineers will, in a good congregation, might understand this a bit more. Steve might like this. This is talking about something similar to a manufacturer running a product on a testing bench in order to prove that when it eventually goes to market and sold, it will do the task that it was meant to do. So James here is talking about that type of testing, the approving of your faith, so that your faith may be found fit for purpose when things come along. This approved test of genuine faith will produce perseverance, endurance, and spiritual maturity. And God will use that type of faith to bring you and I, His children, to spiritual maturity. He'll use it to either develop something already in us that He knows we're going to need more of in the future, or He'll add something to our character that we currently lack. That's why we might consider it something where we can have an expectation of approaching it. James is saying, in a sense, trials can be your training ground, and if you trust in the Lord and if you persevere, you will end up, the one thing most assuredly is you will exit the other side more spiritually mature, and perhaps more able to help other people who are going through a similar experience. You know, I've read about mother eagles building nests, and I've always wondered where the phrase about kicking your children out of the nest comes from. So listen and learn. There's some useful stuff in this if the children turn the bone. I'm told a mother eagle, when she builds her nest, she starts building it using thorns and bits of broken branches, and sometimes she'll even gather up sharp stones and things like that. On items that seem really unsuitable for the purpose of a nest for young. But then she begins to line that nest with thick fur and woolen animals from animals that she's killed, to make it soft, to make it comfortable for the eggs when they come along. And by the time then the birds are born, the eggs are there, the birds hatch, but then they grow and they reach what should be flying age. But they're not that keen to leave the comfort of the nest, as you can understand. So the mother eagle begins to pull up thick matting of fur and to start to pull it out, and to bring up back to the surface those sharp stones and those thistles. And as the bedding gets disturbed more and more, it gets more and more uncomfortable for that young bird. Eventually this, plus other urgings, which can literally be out, that prompts the growing eagles to leave what was once their comfortable home. Isn't that interesting? And that's the insight that James is offering here for us, I believe. So that's James's view. Let's have a look at what Peter says. The next scripture in there. He says, in all this, talking about the same thing, you greatly rejoice, though now, for a little while, you may have to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory and honour when Jesus Christ is revealed. Isn't it interesting to know that Peter uses exactly the same phrase he talks about, as James did, various trials. He uses the same Greek word which means different coloured trials. Peter also says that believers have to suffer grief in those trials. And that word grief, that translates beautifully into modern, because that's come back into favoritism. You ever heard people saying, don't give me grief? That's exactly what it means here. It's just the way we use it in the modern expression. The background to the events that Peter's writing about here is, in this letter, is a growing opposition and a persecution to Christian believers in an area called Asia Minor, what we would now call modern-day Turkey. Hostility and suspicion are rising everywhere against Christians. Believers are being slandered and attacked because of their faith. We are told about that in chapter 3, verses 14 and 15. And very interesting, they are also hated because of their decision to withdraw from what they consider sinful practices of the state, which at that time was the sacrificing to the Roman gods or even the emperor, which was compulsory. Peter tells us because of this they're facing charges of disloyalty to the state, and that comes up in chapter 2, verses 13 to 17. When I studied early church history and culture as a module with London Bible College many years ago, we had to read a book called Eusebius, a historian, and I was absolutely amazed to see what a bureaucratic system the Romans had. Eusebius was a historian who mainly just collated documents. He was a curator of all original documents. And there was a document produced by the Roman state which looked like a modern day civil service form, which you had to sign to say, on such and such a date, you filled in the blank, you filled in the blank, sacrificed, you filled in what you sacrificed to the emperor, Nero, and you signed it as an individual. And everybody had to do that at least once a year. And this is what the Christians were objecting to do. So that's the starting point and the cultural background into which Peter is speaking. And he's saying believers are suffering all sorts of trials because of this, but even so, that they are to rejoice. Now, being told to consider something all joy when you're having a hard time, or to rejoice, it sounds really counterintuitive to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it to you? It's the very last thing you want to do. But we are told the same in Matthew when Jesus said, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for your reward is in heaven." You see, Peter's saying your faith is more valuable than anything else. It's even more valuable than gold. Now, the choice of gold as an illustration is useful and it is deliberate, because gold is tested and refined to reach a higher and higher standard of purity by fire. The purpose of putting gold through the fire was not to see if it was genuine. The purpose of refining gold was to burn off the dross, which would float to the surface when it was turned into a liquid, and someone would continually sweep the surface to get the dross off, leaving what was left behind purer and purer and purer, what we would today recognize as the carat system. Trials may indeed bring us to the end of ourselves. However, in doing so, they can force you finally to depend on the Lord. So, no matter who you are, no matter how bright you are, no matter how talented you are, no matter how much money you have, or what important influential contacts you have, you will always reach a point in life, friends, where there will be a problem that you cannot solve. But having said that, there is never a place where you cannot go to the Lord for help. And the faith that is developed by dealing with this type of trial, the faith that is refined through the most difficult of times, the reward, he's saying, is will be praise, honour and glory. And that glory comes at the judgment seat of Christ himself. We will stand before the Lord one day and hear spoken approval of what we have survived, of what we have gone through, when he says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Well done, full and good and faithful servant, in the light of what we've had to go through. In a sense, difficulties and pain can be endured now for what is going to come later, friends. Now, I know that in the middle of a time of suffering, it's really hard to rejoice. But if you look ahead to what's coming, that is what makes it possible, friends. Many years ago, many years ago, my mum used to take me shopping most Saturdays into Belfast. We lived in the outskirts, a little village in the outskirts. And my mum would go we'd go in the morning into the city centre, and in the afternoon we went to Supermarket, which was the first supermarket in Ireland, which was, take that for granted now. That was a day out then, this huge building. But this is before the Troubles, by the way. But my mum would all through my very youngest childhood, I can remember on Saturday being taken into Belfast city centre. And at first I was just quite keen to be wheeled around wherever I went, I suppose. But probably when I was about 6 or 7, I used to get a bit bored with that. And my mum used to leave me, don't tell social services, she used to leave me standing outside a bakery in the centre of Belfast for up to an hour. Look at the faces. I loved it. I'll tell you why. I want you to come with me to this place now. I was keen to be there because in front of the huge large glass window there was a machine that made donuts. Okay? I don't know if you have these in England. You're not probably as advanced as we were in Northern Ireland. But they had a donut making machine which was amazing. Through the windows I could watch donuts being made on this conveyor belt type machine, and it kept me entertained for hours. So just come with me to this place with me this morning. It's well worth a visit. I enjoy just remembering it. First of all, you watch this machine press out a little ball of dough, and it would drop on a plate, and then a flat heavy weight would come down and squash it flat. Then it would be turned on its side, and a nozzle would come and go with air and blow a hole in the middle. So that was part one. And then it would land on the conveyor belt, and it would gradually go along, it would come down, and as it would descend down where are we? It would turn a corner, that's right, and it would come back, and it would go along an escalator really slowly, along a really long, slow, fiery heated tunnel. And you'd watch it go back all the way along the full length of the window, probably not far off the length of the centre pew. And the heat of the humidity in that long tunnel, you could gradually, you probably couldn't see it minute by minute, but by the end you could see it had arisen. And it was large and thick. And it emerged out the other end of the tunnel, it was open on the side, plump and ready to drop. And from there it would fall into sizzling hot oil. And it would begin floating backwards. Another journey back across the strait. It's good, isn't it? And it would be sizzling oil, it would float back across the journey. And then it would gradually reach this beautifully gently rotating paddle, which would, was constantly like a circle rotating, it would pick the donut up and turn it over so it dropped on the other side. And it would carry on floating down the other side. So as that donut emerged, the survivor of this intense ordeal of heat and fire, it would then be picked up again and put onto a mesh, sort of, what's it called, conveyor belt, where the last of the oil would drip off, and it would go along that slowly, and at the end, there would be an icy sugar waterfall that it would pass under. And it probably took about 4 or 5 minutes from start to finish for the donut to do that journey. And it was endless because there was new ones going on all the time. As they emerged from that cascading waterfall of sugar, they were something that was really precious to me. That poor donut, though, it faced a heck of a long journey and a heck of a difficult trial. But what was produced at the end was a product of absolute delight. Well, to me anyway. And sometimes if I was lucky, I even got one. The trials we too face, God allows in our lives to bring us to a point that we could be a delight to Him, friends. That's the point I'm making. God is so delighted that if we endure, in the end, He will reward us. So that's what Peter says. That's what James says. What does Paul say? The next one, please. Writing to Romans, he says, Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand, and we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that sufferings produce perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. Now, the Greek word translated tribulations in the King James, or suffering here in the NIV, literally means pressure. And it's used figuratively of any distress that's coming to us, anything that brings us pressure or stress, any affliction, if you like, physical or emotional. Today we probably use the word stress is the perfect modern example of what that word means. Now, the reason this is drawn attention to, the reason he tells us that this situation is dangerous, because it is that level of pressure and stress that will often result in Christians complaining and grumbling. Perhaps not just with each other, but about the Lord and their lot in life. And that's a danger to us. However, again, verses 2 and 3 here tell us that the believers, again, can rejoice in our present troubles, because we can be thrilled in knowing what the future will hold for us. But it's important to note, Paul's adding this little bit of colour to it, a little bit of expansion by saying it's not the trial that produces the perseverance itself, it's our reaction to the trial. That's the key thing. It's the effect of our faith remaining firm through the trial that produces endurance. In other words, the spiritual endurance in consequence goes on to produce things that are of benefit to us, including moral character and spiritual character. Paul is again saying, just as the others, trials can now be seen as something that is for our training, and that although it will be difficult in this life, we will see a reward for it in the future, in our future lives, in our future to come in eternity. So let me just summarize. Believers can rejoice in trials because they know if they trust the Lord that you can endure, and that you will grow in spiritual maturity by doing so, and that you will also receive praise and glory for it in the future. So what I'm saying is James, Peter, and Paul are all saying exactly the same thing, but in slightly different ways and with slightly different emphasis. The difference is that James is focusing on the fact that if we trust in the Lord, we will endure and end up mature. Peter says that if we trust in the Lord, that is true also, that we will be rewarded in this life. And Paul says that is true also, that we will also not only be rewarded, but we will have a mature spiritual character, and we will be rewarded in the life to come. All three are saying we should rejoice no matter what we're going through, and they all agree on that. I don't know if any of you have heard of Jack Welch. He was one of the 20th century's richest and most successful industrialists. And in his autobiography, which was called Straight from the Gut, which was published about 30 years ago, he tells of how he grew up as a devoted Irish Catholic in America. He was an altar boy all his young life, and as an adult he was very religious in the sense that he always went to Mass. And all his staff knew he was religious, and they also knew no matter what part of the organisation he was visiting, he would always attend Mass on a Sunday, sometimes having to travel an hour to do so. However, his commitment to his faith, he changed the day his mother died of a heart attack. He says, I felt cheated, mad at God, and angry for taking my mother away from me. Sadly, the conclusion of his book is he claims to say he still believes in a God of sorts, but he has lost his heart for religion and has no desire and no longer attends church. For him, his faith was something that did not endure the trial of life. And interestingly, that trial on which he became the stumbling block for him was something that nearly all of us have to go through, and was so certainly going to happen anyway. faith did not endure the trials of life. On the other side of the coin, let me tell you about William Carey, often called the father of modern missions. And he faced a disappointment of overwhelming proportions. In 1793, Carey began his career as a missionary in India. He laboured and worked in that country faithfully for 40 continuous years, never once returning to his native England. He was a prodigious translator, a linguist, and he translated the Bible, or portions of Scripture, into over a dozen of the local languages. One afternoon, 20 years into his time of service, labouring in that country, a fire raged through the printing press and the plant in the warehouse where his books and pamphlets were produced. All his printing equipment, all his templates and the plates for the printing were destroyed. All his precious manuscripts completely and notes destroyed by the fire. And remember, this was the day before no computer backups, no photocopies, no files. 20 years of non-stop labour within a couple of hours had gone. How did he respond to such a crushing devastation? A few weeks later, Carey wrote this to his pastor friend Andrew Murray in England and said this: "The ground must be laboured over again, but I am not discouraged. I have been supported under this affliction and preserved from discouragement. God has a sovereign right to dispose of us as he pleases. We ought to acquiesce in all that God does with us and to us." 20 years later, he produced an even better translation of the Scriptures in all those regional languages. I'll just close by saying this, friends. You know, in life there are two ways that we can be brought to our knees before the Lord. One might call a mountaintop experience, where we get overwhelmed by God's presence, and that is truly a wonderful thing, is it not? But also, in the valley, we can be overwhelmed by his absence sometimes, or we feel as his absence. However, both places, God can use those places to bring us to our knees. Both of them, friends. Sometimes in utter awe, but sometimes in utter dependence. And both of those events, friends, they can both be a wonderful thing. Either situation is okay in the fullness of time if we remain faithful to him throughout, as long as it brings us to that place of dependence on him. Let's pray.